This is the 12th session out of 24 complimentary, or you can call them free sessions. They are free for all, and this is for A2 German level. In this session, we will cover 4 topics. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth one is new vocabulary, of course, relevant vocabulary. So that is common to all the sessions. And then the third point is that we will look at how you can write sentences using Damit and zu. Okay, not unzu, but zu. We will know when you can use them. So these are connectors, something like deswegen, daher, wenn. But there is a specific reason why you need to use them. We will look at why you need to use them and then how. So we will look at why and then how. Why, I mean situations. How, I mean the grammar. Then the first topic is that you will learn to ask questions and you will learn to ask interrogative questions. So this is a very loaded word, interrogative. It doesn't mean it actually means interrogation, but not what you are thinking, not like what a police does to a criminal or in any other scenario. Here it means you are just trying to get more information, right? So you're trying to get more information, and there are 2 specific ways to do that. So these are actually called as interrogative-artikel, but you don't need to know them. So whenever you want to have questions like which, which something, blah, blah, blah. So which something, verb, object. Or you have like question like what kind of something. Okay, so which something or what kind of something, these kind of questions. So why is there a separate topic for it? Because you have to learn some grammar. So when you ask questions like where, wo, was, wie, so wie, wo, was, they just remain as it is, right? Doesn't matter if it is accusative, dative, or nominative. Where changes, right? So where becomes wen in accusative and it becomes wem in dative, but that's also pretty simple. So there are just 3. So where, wem, there are 3 variations, but which, so in German it is welche. Welche can have, I believe, more than 4 variations. So it can be welcher, it can be welches, it can be welchen, it can be welchem, and it can just simply be welche. Now, don't get worried that you will have to remember all of this. My goal in this session is that just to make you realize that you already know the grammar. I will just make you understand that you know the grammar. So you will not learn anything new. You will not learn a new grammar today. You just learn a new situation where you can use these sentences. It becomes clearer when we look at the examples. So let's start with the examples. Also, if you look at the examples, right? So these are, so I happened, so these examples are for data engineer, right? The reason I chose this is that I believe there are many new people who come to Germany. They are working in the data field, and it is better that we focus on examples relevant to them, their life, and not from, asking questions like, what did you eat? I mean, you can ask them in German, but these are more relevant to the professional life. Let us start. This is a disclaimer. This is the 12th session. And let's start. So was, wo, wie. So was is what, wo is where, wie is how. Then you also have wann, right? So wann is when. Where also can be wen, also can be wem, depending upon, so where in nominative is where. But if you want, let's say if you say who ate, like let's say if you want to say who is writing the program, right? So you will say wer schreibt das Programm. Okay, wer schreibt das Programm. So here it is in nominative. But if you want to ask, say like, for whom are you writing the program? So for whom, it will be few. It won't be where, it will be wen, because after few whatever comes will be in accusative, and where in accusative is wen. Few wen schreibt du das Programm. It can be also entwickelt, right? Instead of like wer entwickelt das Programm, so who is developing the program. And when is it whom? Let's say if you want to say, okay, who is writing the program or who is developing the program, then for whom are we writing, whom are you writing or developing the program. Now if you want to ask whom is it going to help, right? Whom is it going to help, then it will be wem hilft das program. Now why is it wem over here? Because helfen is one of those verbs where the first object itself is dative. Okay, the first object itself is dative, right? With schreiben or entwickeln, the first object is normally, or the direct object is normally in accusative case, right? So that's why it is wem. But that is not the topic. The topic is that, so I just want to say that you already know all of this from our previous sessions. If not, please maybe after this session you can go to the recordings, have a look at the recordings of the previous sessions, maybe from A1 as well, and then you will know all of these. Let's look at, also you know how to use them, right? So let's not waste time over here. You also know welche, like you know how to say which languages do you speak. So you say welche Sprachen kannst du sprechen. Also, if you want to make it little bit more relevant to the life of an engineer or maybe an IT guy, so next question will be, which programming languages do you know, right? So the question will be welche programming languages is Programmier Sprache, it will be Sprachen kennst du, right? Do you know, right? But the reason, I mean, you won't notice, but here it is Sprachen, it is also plural, right? Let's say if I only write just Sprache, just welche Programmie ist just one, right? It will still be E. So here Sprachen is plural, here also it is plural, then it was EE. When it is singular, Sprache or Programmie Sprache singular, it is still EE. You will not know any difference. But when you go to, so here Sprache, Programmie Sprache, they both are in accusative case. But if you have this in dative, it will be welcher, right? How is it? Let's look at that. So the question for today is, do you know when is it welche, welcher, welchen, welches, or welchem? Having said that, normally when you say welche or welcher, they both sound the same, because whenever a word ends in R in German, you don't emphasize the R. Okay, so it will, I mean, while speaking they both sound the same, but on writing there is a difference. Okay, while writing there is a difference. Let us see if we can figure this out. Let us look at some examples. So I have 4 boxes. I think you have some kind of hint what I'm getting into it. So let's look at this one. So welcher Kollege kommt später? Check R. Then welchen Raum möchten Sie für das Meeting reservieren? Welchem Kollege hast du geholfen? Check, it is R, then N, and then M. Also, let's try to look at this this box. So here Kollege is there, the das guys, it is there, right? A female would be Kollegin. Okay, also it is singular. And here Kollege is in what case, right? Is it dative, accusative, or nominative? If I just say, I am coming late, right? So I is in nominative. Okay, so Kollege is also in nominative. Other way to think why is it nominative is that, let's say if I'm talking on phone, I and you are talking on phone, and I'm saying this sentence, welcher Kollege kommt später, but when I'm about to say Kollege, there is some noise, right? So it sounds like welcher kommt später, right? Then your question will be, who comes late? So you will say who comes late, right? So this is nominative. Let's look at the sentence, welchen Raum möchten Sie für das Meeting reservieren? Let's say if I'm saying this sentence, here Raum, also it is masculine and it is in accusative case. Why is it in accusative case? Let's take the example of phone one more time. You and I are talking on phone, and I say, welchen möchten Sie für das Meeting reservieren? Now you did not hear, right? So what am I? So if you have to counter question me, you will ask, sorry, which room? So which room are you reserving? Then which is an accusative, right? So which is an accusative. Then you have welchem Kollege hast du geholfen. Again, if I say this and you don't hear this part, Kollege, you will ask, sorry, whom did you help? So whom is in dative, right? That is one way to understand it. Other way is that you just know you have a list of verbs. So you know whenever you have sein, in sein, the subject and the object, they both are in nominative. Then there are of course n number of verbs that require the object to be in genitive case, but we don't use them in daily life, so ignore them. Next you have accusative and dative left. So if you start writing a list of verbs that require the first object to be in accusative, it will go on and on and on. If you start writing the list of verbs that require the first object to be in dative, the list will end after 100, maybe after 50 verbs, right? So this way you know when is something dative, when is something accusative. So if you know this list, whenever you see some verb which is not a part of this list, you can just assume that the object will be in accusative case. All right, so that we saw. So here everything was masculine, right? But here it was in nominative, so er, accusative, so en, dative, so em. Let's look at this example. Welches Projekt hat Vorrang? Vorrang, any idea what it means? Just think what this sentence may mean. So which project has? So maybe it's but just maybe you can take a guess. Maybe I'm saying which project has what. So which project has priority? So Vorrang means priority. Then welches Handy hast du bekommen? Welches Zimmer möchten Sie für das Meeting reservieren? Welchem Problem sei dir begegnet? If you notice, the noun associated with welche, they all are nominative, right? Projekt is, sorry, not nominative, neutrum. So Projekt is das, Handy is das, Zimmer is das, Problem is also das. But here it is in nominative case, right? Here the Handy and Zimmer are in accusative case. Problem is in dative case. If you know, begegnet is a special kind of like the begegnen is, you can call it a dative verb. Also there is no such thing as dative verb, but begegnet requires the first object to be in dative case. Okay, that is the German language. Don't ask me why. Now, so here neutrum, if you checked, so neutrum it ends with s for nominative and accusative cases, and for dative it is m. Okay, you don't have to remember this because you already know it. I will tell you why you know it. I just have to make you realize that you already know this grammar. So welche Kollegin kommt später? Welche Besprechung dauert länger? Welche Software installierst du? Welche Kollegin hast du geholfen? Kollegin, Besprechung, Software, Kollegin, they all are feminine. Okay, so welche Kollegin kommt später? Here Kollegin is in nominative case. Welche Besprechung dauert länger? Here also Besprechung is in nominative case. Software, here it is in accusative case. So software is the one that is being installed, right? If I say welche dash installierst du, your question will be, what are you installing? Sorry. So what is dative? Accusative, right? So it is accusative. Welche Kollegin hast du geholfen? Helfen, the first object is in dative case. So Kollegin here over here is in dative case. That's why welche. Check. Feminine, nominative is e, accusative is also e, dative is er. That's why we looked at the examples. Welche Programmiersprache, right? It was, the ending was e. Now we look at here. So welche Kolleginnen kommen später? Welche Projekte haben Vorrang? Welche Besprechungen or Besprechungen, depending on the city where you live, the pronunciation depends on that. Welche Besprechungen or Besprechungen dauern länger? Welche Räume möchten Sie für das Meeting reservieren? Welche Handys haben Sie bekommen? Welche Zimmer möchten Sie für die Besprechung reservieren? Check if it is, instead of Besprechung, I use the word Termin. Termin is masculine. Termin is masculine, and it will be, that's why they termin, right? Because after fuel, whatever you have must be in accusative case. So, or next sentence, welche Softwares installierst du? Welche Termine, Besprechungen or meetings haben wir heute? Welchen Kolleginnen hast du geholfen? Welchen Problemen sei dir begegnet? Now, if you look at, so it's obvious to you that here all the nouns are plural, right? So only thing you notice is that nominative case it's e, accusative is also e, plural it is n. That's why Programmiersprachen, it was still e, right? Let's see. So if you notice the pattern, I think we discussed it already. So here everything is masculine, here it is neutrum, so masculine neutrum, feminine plural. Endings you notice, right? Masculine nominative is er, masculine accusative is n, masculine dative is m, neutrum nominative s, also for accusative, but for dative it is m. Feminine it is e for nominative and accusative, just for dative it is er. Plural it is e for nominative and accusative, for dative it is n. What about genitive? You don't need to know that right now, okay? You will learn that in the later sessions, but right now you don't bother yourself with the genitive case. So we saw that. Let's see what is the rule. So here is just so you have masculine nominative welcher. So I think you can read this table, but you don't have to remember this table, right? If you know this table, this you already know, right? So there, das, the, like bestimmt article you already know, definite articles, right? For all the 4 cases, all the 12 variations, right? If you know this, just check. So there, er, den, welchen, dem, welchem, das, welches, dem, welchem, die, welche, welche, der, welcher, die, welche, den, welchen. You already know it, right? So you don't have to remember this. This is what I meant. You will not learn something new. You will just realize what you already know. Now that was the topic with Interrogativartikel. I think was few, we will do it in the next session. In the 13 sessions, I don't think we will have time to cover that today. We'll do it tomorrow. Okay, let's start with, so now we will talk about Damit and umzu, but before we do that, let's see why we need that. So if you want to say these sentences, these 3 sentences in German, how will you say it? So you have, I want to have or get more job opportunities, therefore I am learning German, right? Next sentence is, I am learning German so that I get more job opportunities. I am learning German to get more job opportunities. Now if you check here, if you just have to think in terms of action and result, right? Or action and goal, or action and so action result or action goal. Another can be like, reason for an action. If you just think of action, let's just focus with action and result. So I want to have more job opportunity. This is the result, right? This is the goal. This is the reason, right? Goal or result or reason. And what is the action you are doing? You are learning German. So here you just first specify the action and then, first specify the result or the goal or the reason, and then you specify the action, right? What about this sentence? So you first specify the action and then you tell what it will, which result, reason, so which result or goal it will lead to, or what is the reason behind your action. This sentence is also the same, but here I'm learning German. In these 2 sentences, like you are actually combining 2 sentences, right? So you had you had 2 subjects. Here also you had 2 subjects. In this sentence, you have only 1 subject. Okay, remember this. Let's see how we can write all of this in German. So I want to get more job opportunities. So if you want to say I want to get it will be bekommen or erhalten. To have it will be haben. Okay, want to will be wollen conjugated for ich. It is ich will mehr Arbeitsmöglichkeiten haben. Deswegen lerne ich Deutsch. Okay, check. When you use deswegen, the second position is taken by the. We will look at the grammar on the next slide. We have written it correct in detail. I am learning German, so ich lerne Deutsch, so that you can actually say so das, guys. It's also fine. Okay, but here I will use damit. Now specifying the goal. Damit ich mehr Arbeitsmöglichkeiten bekomme or habe. Okay, check. It had the verb. If I just say I know I get more job opportunities, you will say ich bekomme or ich habe mehr Arbeitsmöglichkeiten, because you're using damit, the verb which was supposed to be here after the subject goes over here. The difference between deswegen and damit is that when you use deswegen, the verb will be here, so only the position of the subject and the verb will get interchanged, right? Everything else remains the same. When you use damit, what happens is that the verb goes to the last position. Now, what about I am learning German to get more job opportunities? So, mehr Arbeitsmöglichkeiten zu bekommen. Notice here it is not conjugated, it is in infinitive form. Remember this. Let's look at the grammar. So, first sentence, I want to get. So, this you already know, but I'll still go through it. So, ich will is modal verb conjugated. So, wollen conjugated for ich becomes. So, wollen conjugated for ich becomes will. Arbeitsmöglichkeiten is the object, and haben or bekommen or erhalten will be the verb in infinitive form at the last position. Deswegen is the conjunction, you can say. Deswegen lerne ich Deutsch. I'm learning German, it's very basic. Ich lerne Deutsch. Damit ich, subject. The verb conjugated here at the last position. Bekomme or habe or erhalte as well, you can say. Mehr Arbeitsmöglichkeiten. I'm learning German. Ich lerne Deutsch. Zu. After you have the object, mehr Arbeitsmöglichkeiten zu bekommen, or you can write haben. Erhalten you can use, but I don't think it's the erhalten fits in this context, but you can use erhalten. So here it is in infinitive form. This is what you have to remember. So damit, with damit you have to conjugate the verb. It will be at the last position. With zu, the object will be after and the verb will be after zu, but here it is not conjugated, it is in infinitive form. Okay. Also notice here in this sentence you have only one subject, ich. The other one does not have a subject. With damit, they both have subject. So let's look at the one last time at the grammar. When you use damit, so the first sentence is as it is, subject, verb, object. After damit, it is subject, and the verb which was supposed to be here goes here at the last position. Okay, and here you can have object or whatever else, adjective or adverb. Then with zu, subject, verb, object, first sentence. So after you will have object, and after zu you will have verb. The verb will be infinitive form. Here with damit, the verb is conjugated. Also check here the subject, not just check, this is you have to remember. So because you are using two subjects with damit, they need not be same, but can be same. Okay, they need not be same, can be same. Let's say if I have to give a very dramatic example, that I want to earn money so that my kids are not hungry. Let's say it's a very dramatic example, right? I want to earn money so that, or let's say I want to have a job so that the Ausländerbehörde extends my visa, right? So the first one is I want to have a job. Ich will eine Arbeit haben. Okay, damit. Ausländerbehörde is now the new subject. Ausländerbehörde mein Visum verlängert. Okay, now in this sentence, because you have only one subject, so the subject for both the sentence has to be same. Also this grammar for zu only applies for present tense. For past tense or with modal verben, there will be changes. We will look at those changes in our next session. Let's look at some verbs. So again, those who are attending this session for the first time, one homework that there are two homeworks for you. One homework is that you watch your favorite movie in German with German audio without any subtitles. The second homework is that you buy a notebook. In that notebook, every day at least one page, you divide into 4 parts. In the first part, you write all the new nouns that you need for daily life, new verbs, new adjectives, adverbs, and any phrases that you think you should know or you will use in German in Germany. So let's look at some examples. So you have riechen and reichen. Okay, riechen and reichen. Also on a side note, yesterday we did A1 session, and it was the 9th A1. It was the 9th session. Also there are 12 sessions, and it was the 9th session. They all are free, and I also uploaded the video. In that we talk about, there is, I think towards the end or just the second half of the session, we speak about only pronunciation. So if you have trouble understanding when to pronounce what, so how the pronunciation works in German language, please go through that. Okay, so it's riechen and reichen. Why do I say that? Is that over here you have, so this is sh, ish, so this is riechen because IE is E. Then this is I and not E because E is below before I, reichen. But this one, we don't say Martian, we say Machen. Why? Then you have to know. Then you have over here, so in English we say sport, but in German we say Sport, right? In German we say Sport. So why is all of this like that? How you can help, how you can improve your pronunciation? Please watch the recorded session from A1 9th session for second batch. You will find this on the channel. Okay, let's look at riechen and reichen. So riechen means to smell. Reichen, it can mean two things. First, it can mean suffice. For example, someone, let's say someone is doing something and they say like, should I add more? Like, let's say, they created a presentation and they are asking you like, should I like work more on it? And you'll say, no, that's enough. That suffices. So you can say that's reicht. Another word is reichen is to hand something someone, like so to hand something to someone, that is also reichen. Verbinden is to connect, bleiben is to stay, werfen is to throw dice, aufstehen is to wake up, aufstehen is to get up, aufwecken is to wake up. Difference between aufstehen and aufwecken. Aufwecken is you're fast asleep, and when you open your eyes, it doesn't matter where you are sleeping, in the train, on the bed, or in the classroom, or while watching this video, when you open your eyes, that is aufwecken, to wake up. Aufstehen is to get up. People sometimes they don't say aufwecken, they just say wake up. When they even if they are saying that they wake up, they say so even if this, for example, they say ich stehe auf 6 Uhr morgens, but what they are actually meaning is that ich wecke auf. Okay, but again, normally we just say aufstehen. Okay, also wecker is alarm, right? Also you have aufwecken, you can also use like for other people. So can you wake him up? Kannst du ihn aufwecken? Vorschlagen is to suggest or to give advice, but it's usually suggest or propose. Eingeben is to enter data, usually when you enter something. So abgeben is to submit, handover, for example your master thesis. Aufgeben means to give up. Nachgeben means to yield. Übergeben means to throw up. Zurückgeben means to give back. Again, you will see that I have highlighted them with purple color. This means these prefixes are trennbar, they are separable. Okay, that is what they mean. Verschieden, different, regelmäßig, regularly. Hoffentlich means hopefully. Öffentlich means in public. Some information is public. Öffentlich. Höflich is politely. So nouns, login or registration. So Anmeldung is registration or login. Reservierung is reservation. Haltestelle is stop. It can be Bushaltestelle, it can be Bahnhaltestelle. So just stop. Stelle is a position, it can mean job position. It can also mean someone's position. In German you say, if you want to say in your position, I would do this. So you will say an deiner Stelle würde ich so machen or tun. So in your position, also it means a job position, like die Stelle is verfügbar, so the position is still available, or the Stelle is frei, so the position is free. You can apply to it. Punkt is point, Leute is people, Mund, again, if you have been attending the sessions, I don't like when people try to learn words which are not necessary. So for example, I don't like when people start memorizing all the names of vegetables, like what is brinjal, what is, okay, you should know what is potato or tomato in German, but don't try to memorize every vegetable name. You don't need them unless it is your job to talk about vegetables. Also, when it comes to body parts, you need not know what to say, what is intestine in German, but you should know just few basic parts for mouth, nose, eye, ear, face. Also, Hals, Hals means neck. Just few things that are obvious. Okay, just don't try to learn everything. Now, then you have Geschichte, then you have Gericht. But Geschichte can mean, so it means either history or story or lore, right? Folklore. Gericht can mean two things, or it can be many things, but two things which it usually means is, one is court, court of law, and then the other one is dish, like something that you eat. Then you have Schicht, it means two things, of course. Also, again, it can be many things, but two things that is normally means is that layer, for example, onion has many layers, paint has many layers, people have many layers, speaking in a philosophical way. Also, Schicht means, shift, like morning shift or night shift. So night shift will be Nachtschicht or Spätschicht. Then you have Kraft and Macht. Okay, so Kraft and Macht, they both mean power or force. Übung means exercise. Exercise, for example, some exercise that you are doing to train your brain or to learn something. Also, it means like, physical exercises. When you go to a gym, so they give you a list of exercises to do every day, right? Or then they change your plan. So those exercises are also Übungen. Then there is this verb üben. It also means to exercise or to practice. Aufgabe means to task. Okay, it means a task. Handtuch is hand towel or towel. Papier Handtuch is paper, that tissues that you have. Then let's look at a phrase. Übung macht den Meister. I think it's obvious. Practice makes perfect. Thank you very much for listening. We will see each other on. If you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise, I will end the call after 10 seconds. And tomorrow at 5:30 we will meet again. Thank you very much for listening.